Alright guys, so it's been a while since I made a video and there's a good reason for it. The reason is, as you can tell by the charger, I pulled the engine and transmission, which is sitting right here, because I blew up the transmission, right? Which, you know, I knew was gonna happen whenever I put the transmission in, just because that transmission had a bunch of like metal shavings in the pan and everything. But I was really excited to get the car up and running and going, and I really wanted to drive it, so I said screw it and I'll deal with it later, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So dealing with it later, right? The reason for such a long break in between videos is I just didn't want to be making videos without actually having anything, you know, to do the video on specifically, right? I just didn't want to make a video just to make a video, right? So this video is going to be going over all the parts that I've been buying the past few months for the car, and then talking about the transmission I bought and all that stuff, and where everything's at and where the car's going to be going, right? So to start it off, the transmission is not here, but I ordered the new Tremec TKX 5-speed, so that transmission replaced the TKO 5-speed, right? Still the same horsepower rating as the TKO 600, which is the, you know, their top of the line 5-speed that they had. You know, 600 foot-pounds of torque, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Or the whole kit for the car. The kit comes with, you know, the bell housing, the clutch kit, which I got to pick out what clutch I wanted, the shifter, the shift handle, the new cross member, drive shaft, all that good stuff. The template I need to put the 4-speed hump in the floor, because apparently it's just a factory fit if your car is a factory 4-speed, which mine isn't, right? And seeing I already had the engine and transmission out, I figured I might as well do some upgrades to the engine. Since this engine has problems with the heads, this back bolt back here, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see, but that whole shoulder of that bolt just broke off, right? Or of that hole just broke off. So that's why there's just RTV stuff in that hole. It has a couple strip header bolts. I think there's one on this side. I think that one is stripped. And then on the driver's side, there's like 3 or 4 that's stripped, and with one of them being the back header bolt, which goes into a water jacket, which is why there is just RTV caked all over it, just because, yeah, I didn't have no other option at the time. And then, you see that one has a bolt broke off into it that I couldn't get out. There's just a bunch of problems with these heads, right? So, going over the parts I bought, we'll start up here. So, new head gaskets, because I bought new heads. I bought Edelbrock East Street heads, but they're on back order, so they won't be here till mid-July, right? So, new head gaskets, all the, you know, valve cover gaskets, you know, carburetor gaskets, the whole gaskets for the front end, you know, the timing cover, everything. Then, ARP head bolts, which I went with bolts instead of studs, just because, I mean, the car's not going to be, you know, I'm not putting a turbo on the car or anything, so not gonna have to worry about that. Oil pan studs, valve cover studs, new harmonic balancer bolt, intake manifold bolts, a build aluminum water neck, ARP bolts for the water neck, ARP cam bolt, ARP valley pan hold down bolts, some Mopar bolts for the timing cover, ARP lube. Then you got the comp cams, brake-in additive, push rod length checker, because of course whenever you switch to aluminum heads, the push rod length might change. And Chrysler push rods have this design, so it's like a cup on one end and a ball on the other instead of the usual design. Then there's a new dipstick, so it's a build aluminum dipstick. And then for the big stuff over here, it's going to be a 7-quart oil pan. So I bought this oil pan just because the oil pan that's on that engine right now, the drain plug for it leaks. Whenever I got this engine, that oil pan had a bunch of silicone just around the drain plug. So I just figured, screw it, I'll just buy a new one off of the 440 Source website. Matching pickup tube for it, so that's a 7-quart pickup tube for this pan. Then over here, decided I might as well go ahead and I bought a Comp Cams camshaft, and so right there you can see, ooh, if it focuses, I think the cam card's in here. Yeah, so there's all the specs. I'll just read off, right? So 545 lift on both intake and exhaust. It's 285, 297 duration. but duration at 50 is 241, 247 on a 110 lobe separation angle. So if you know anything about camshafts, it's gonna be a decent little camshaft. It's gonna be kind of rowdy. Comes with lifters, of course, new double roller timing set, and then the Chrysler stock rocker arms can't handle that high of lift, supposedly, from what I've been reading. So I bought some new rocker arms and some billet aluminum rocker hold downs. So these hold downs go on this picture, right on every, I think, oh yeah, so in those holes, in the big holes, right? And then, so this comes with everything needed, all the springs and shims to shim everything properly. And then there's the rocker arms, which these weren't the best name brand. They're stamped Mopar, but they're Proform rocker arms. But bronze bushing, adjustable, everything should be fine with them. Roller tips, they're nice. So there's that, and then of course the matching hold downs to go with them. And then in this box, I think I can get it open, is new valve covers. So I'm going with new valve covers just because, you know, I might as well, while I'm doing this, I might as well buy some valve covers that I like. So I went with these just chrome tall cast aluminum valve covers. Well, I guess they're not chrome, they're just polished cast aluminum valve covers. So all that should be fine. The big thing is, you know, I went with studs on pretty much everything just to help with leaks, because I was experiencing a lot of valve cover leaks with this. Not even just because of that one bolt hole, even on the other side, just because it's so hard on these big block Mopars to get the gasket lined up right, just because there's several holes and then the gasket's real flimsy. So I was like, fuck it, we're just gonna go with, you know, studs. So valve cover studs, oil pan studs, everything should be good to go. And then the last thing I did to the actual car was gauges, finally. So it's gonna be kind of hard to see, but I made a whole aluminum gauge bezel pretty much, and then put all the gauges in there. And I added that gauge just because at some point it is gonna have some type of boost going to the engine. So I figured I might as well go ahead and do that now while I'm building the gauge cluster, instead of not putting that in there and then having to come back, pull the whole gauge cluster back out, and then drill a new hole and it might be off-centered. Like, I might as well do it now while I got everything on my mind. So the way I did that, I just put the stock bezel up on some aluminum, so that sheet of aluminum right back there. I just put the stock bezel on it, traced out around it, traced out the bolt holes that hold it in, and then I just put the gauges where I wanted instead of having it in that layout, because I don't like that layout. So that should be pretty much everything. Yeah, transmission's on the way. The Edelbrock heads are on the way, which that's been a whole pain in the ass. I originally ordered them through Summit Racing at the beginning of May, and then they told me that it was going to be June 16th before they ship out to Summit Racing, and then Summit would have to ship them to me. So Edelbrock wouldn't even ship them to Summit until June 16th. So I canceled that order, ordered them on Amazon because it said it would get here in like 4 days. So ordered them there. That order got canceled by Amazon because they didn't have the product in stock, or the seller, I guess, canceled because they didn't have the product in stock. So then I went to eBay, found a set new being sold by some company. It said that they had one in stock, one set of them in stock. So I was like, cool, bought it, paid for it, everything. A couple days later, still hadn't shipped, so I emailed them, and turns out that those won't ship until mid-July. So I screwed myself. I should just stay with Summit Racing. But why are you gonna say you got one in stock if it's not able to ship until mid-July? I don't know. None of my business, right? Well, it is, but none of my business. So yeah, and then transmission's on the way, which should come with everything I need. Should. And then it'll come with a yoke to slide into the transmission. And then of course I just measure from that yoke to the yoke that's in my rear end, and then they will send me a drive shaft because it's included in the price. And all that was ordered through Silver Sports. Yeah, Silver Sport Transmission, so SST. And they do the drive shaft to whatever U joints you want. So the front of mine will have seeing how they do their front yoke, whatever, I think 1350 style U-joints, the big style U-joints, right? And then they match the rear of the drive shaft that goes to your rear end to whatever U-joints you have. And I don't feel like upgrading the yoke in my rear end to 1350s, so I'm gonna have to tell them to make the U-joints in the back of the drive shaft 7290s, which is the bigger Mopar styles for the 8 3/4 inch rear end, which is what I have. So yeah, everything's going good. Just, you know, waiting on stuff to come. Everything's on back order. I'm looking at a few other parts. They're on back order. I was doing the math in my head. Well, not doing the math, but I was just thinking I might as well go ahead and buy a new fuel pump. Might as well go ahead and buy a new oil pump, just because, you know, the fuel pump, I mean, it's fine, but seeing how, seeing how the engine's already out of the car, it's easiest to do right now. So I might as well just go ahead and do it right now. So that way I ain't even gotta worry about it. Oil pump the same way, although I did replace the, I replaced the O-rings in that oil pump because it was losing oil pressure when I first fired up the engine, when I first got the engine. And that solved that problem. It was just the bad O-rings inside the oil pump. Wasn't keeping pressure, but I figured I might as well go ahead and do the oil pump too. I'll just get a new like high volume oil pump. So on these Chryslers, the oil pump is external. So it's just that whole assembly right there that the oil filter bolts to. So I figured I might as well do that. And then I also am going to do all the freeze plugs, just because on that other side over there, one of the freeze plugs is leaking. So I might as well do that. And then, yeah, I think I already have the transmission. So the transmission, so this transmission, that transmission, the drive shaft, the center console, the shifter, everything, I think I already have it sold. I told one of my buddies that they could come by and pick it up whenever I'm done with it. So I need to get all that stuff and then contact him, tell him to come get it. Oh, and the cross member too, because I won't be needing that cross member that's on there. So everything's coming right along. But yeah, the original plan, I wasn't even going to change the camshaft. I was just going to put new heads on it because the car already has, or the engine already has a decent camshaft in it. I don't know what camshaft is in it right now, but I know it's not stock. So I was just going to change the heads and try to get the car up and going as quick as possible. But then Tremec was taking forever shipping the TKX trans that I need to Silver Sport transmissions. So I was like, screw it, the car's gonna be down for a while anyways. I might as well go ahead and just do everything I want to do. So the transmission was originally supposed to be here at the end of April, and now I'm filming this, it's like June 12th or June 13th. So it's been quite a while. SST just said that it was taking forever for them to get shipped to them, and then they also had to do the they had to make the shifter for a 70 Charger. So, well, not specifically 70 Charger, but just for a 70 B-body Chrysler, where the shifter goes, they had to do like a whole new, you know, mid shifter design. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but if you look at their website and everything, they offer several different shift locations for different cars, like C3 Corvettes, C2 Corvettes, Novas, all that stuff. So they had to make one for a 70 B-body, so that way you can still use the factory, you know, stick shift center console, the factory shift location in the floor. You won't have to drill any holes. Apparently that's what they're claiming. I don't know, we'll see in a few months whenever it comes, or whenever it comes. Now there's no estimated ship date, it's just you know, whenever it is. The last time I talked to them, they said that they had phase 1 of the shift design done and they're just waiting on production parts. So I guess things are coming along, I don't know. But that's the update on the Charger. There are other plans for it, but I'm not going to say until we actually get it going, because I just don't like talking about things until they're set in stone. Whereas like all this stuff is already set in stone. The transmission, even though it's not here, it's set in stone. Like I already ordered it. Same way with the heads, I already paid for them, I already ordered it. Like it's set in stone. So the other things aren't set in stone, so I'm not even going to mention them. But that is an update on Charger. That is all the parts I bought for it. A lot of money in parts, a lot of money in bolts. Actually, just I went with all ARP bolts besides the Mylodon oil pan studs. Everything else is ARP. But that's it for the video, guys. I'll try to link everything down in the description below.